never. Here's my thanks to whoever plays my song on the radio. Better late than never. Here's my thanks to whoever plays my song on the radio.
Good day, planet Earth. Michael Litton, the last DJ, host of Ride the Vibe, broadcasting from the beautiful living room-like studio here in Roswell, GA. The proprietor, Wahid Gomes, also the executive producer of this show. And this is a first for us, y'all. We have a video component. How cool is that? I mean, that's unbelievable. And I have to give a shout out to my good friend Peter Perkins from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Went to high school together, and we also went to college in University of Colorado in Boulder for that intro song. And for those of you musical trivia buffs, that's Brian Berline playing the fiddle on that song. Better late than never off Pete's debut release, and the song is very fitting for Ride the Vibe. So totally stoked to have as my guest Todd Kessler. Todd, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my gosh, such a pleasure. And in the spirit of full disclosure, because I am the last DJ and I can say what I want to say and play what I want to play, we are practicing the ultimate in social distancing. Because Todd is broadcasting from the comfort of his own environment up in Chicago, Illinois, where he's from. I'm here at the DRS Atlanta studios, as I mentioned, and I'm in my own room, y'all. And those producer types, they're in their own room. So we're doing the right thing here, and still, carrying on, which is what we need to do. And Todd, for your fans that are Legion, the way we roll Ride the Vibe is we do a CD listening party format. So we encourage the listeners to sit back in a comfortable environment of their choosing, even if it's on a raft as the weather gets warmer or out on a boat on Lake Michigan, whatever it might be, and get a beverage of their choice. And then we're going to play 6 of your songs, not in their entirety. Well, maybe 1 or 2 we will, because we want listeners to go out and buy your music, right? Because it's hard to make a living. I told Todd y'all that I'd listen to some of his stuff with my Napster account. And, I pay for that, Napster, and it was Rhapsody. I've been a subscriber for 10 years. And he goes, oh, thank you for that, Michael. I think I made 0.003 cents. So go out and buy some of his music. And in the studio, we are featuring the beverage of our choice today is Drinkmate Sparkling Water. Now, how cool is that? In this Drinkmate product, got to get it over here on the frame. I got to get my mojo going here on the video component. But this Drinkmate product, my friends, they're a company out of Michigan. Doug is the owner. It's a startup, and it's this tabletop unit right here that we featured in the studio. They were kind enough to provide this for us. Got a CO2 canister in the back, and it will sparkle any beverage that you've got just by pushing the button and sparkling it up. So cheers to my friends Drinkmate, Doug and Kevin. And thank you, Todd. I don't know what beverage Todd's got up there in Chicago, but it's all good. And cheers to Ride the Vibe, my sister, for hooking us up with these cups. And also one last little commercial plug. We are in the business here in Roswell of making Roswell weird, thanks to my friend at Mojo Vinyl. Todd, is your album About Memory on vinyl? Do you have it on vinyl?
I do. This was the first release I put on vinyl.
Yeah.
I made it part of a Kickstarter campaign because vinyl is very expensive to make. And so I always wanted to do it. And I was doing a Kickstarter, and I thought, let's see if I can get some people that are going to buy the vinyl. And quite a few for the Kickstarter. And love it.
Oh, good. Well, if you're amenable, I will do a warm introduction to Rand Cabas, who's the owner of Mojo Vinyl here in Roswell, GA, and see if you can get some in his shop down there.
I love it. Thank you.
Well, we'll try to facilitate that. So, Todd, it's just so excited to have you on the show. And as I said, we're going to play some of your music, and we're going to work back in your discography. We're going to do your latest release and then work back and play some songs off of About Memory, which was your debut release as a solo artist. And then we'll talk about your work.
It was my reintroduction as a solo artist.
Okay. Okay. Well, I know you had done work with the New Folk,
Correct.
and you have an album, or you have an album out with them. But and we'll talk about that as well. But let's cue up, since I've been doing all this talking and it's all about the music. Let's cue up "Good as Gold," which was your latest single, released in 2019, I believe.
Yep, early August 2019. Yeah.
19. So recent. Well, I love it. Let's hear a little "Good as Gold." Fitting way to start the show.
We've been here before. I couldn't love you like you needed. I hurt you more, but I was the one defeated. Know that I am trying hard. I need you to believe me. I don't wanna tear apart something I believe in. No matter how hard we try, it seems we always end up together. No, this isn't goodbye. It's just the beginning of forever. I'll see you again. I'll wait for your call. I'll see you at the end of the fall. Know that I am trying hard. I need you to believe me. I don't wanna tear apart something I believe in. We're good as gold. We're good as gold.
And that song is "Good as Gold." how, I love it. Your latest single release. And talk about that song and what is it going to be on a future album, Todd? Are you doing albums? I mean, the music industry has changed so much. Give me your thoughts, or talk about the song, and then also give me your thoughts on the state of the music industry and what you think it bodes for you.
Yeah, so the song itself I started it back in 2015, and that is when I made the decision that I wanted to start writing music, not just for myself as an artist, but I wanted to start writing music for commercial sync licensing, maybe possibly other artists publishing, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that was one of the songs that I had started writing back then, in that kind of phase of my career, you could say. I've started more into that kind of thing, and I got kind of stuck. I got maybe halfway through the song, maybe a verse and a chorus, and just couldn't finish it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I a little while later after that, I started working on my album About Memory. So that song, I kind of forgot about it. And then About Memory happened, the album cycle, the touring, and then I kind of regrouped and started revisiting some old material that I had left off, and came upon that one. Mm-hmm. And this is what it was. Now I remember. What got me unstuck was that a friend of mine was going through a really bad breakup. Mm-hmm. And it kind of it was happening at the time that I was kind of scrolling through old music, kind of trying to revisit some old ideas. And, the way the universe works, it sparked whatever I needed to finish that tune.
Yeah.
And it's really just about, it's pretty easy, I think, to tell what the song's about. But it's a relationship. You go through hard times, and if it's strong, it's going to last. And I've been lucky enough that my relationship with my wife has lasted for quite a long time. So I can't write a breakup song from
your personal experience.
So that's why I had to wait until my friend was going through a bad breakup.
Did it resolve itself or no?
No, it sadly, but
Yeah.
all parties are for the better now. So
Yeah, gotcha.
in terms of the single or album aspect of it,
Yeah.
I kind of go through cycles myself. There's the music industry aspect of it where a few years ago it was like the album's dead and now we're just doing
Right.
singles.
Right.
Now what artists are doing, they're putting out albums with really short songs, but just tons of them because of the way the algorithms work. So like, Drake puts out an album, there's like 20 songs on there, they're under 3 minutes each or something like that. And so now we're like, to me, it's the wild, wild west. Put out a single, put out an EP, put out an album. It doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah.
But what I end up doing is every time I do an album, I tend to do a couple singles after it because I'm like, I can't go through that again. It's too much work. It's so draining. It takes forever. I just want to do a song and be done with it. And so that was kind of, what my thought processes was. Of course, now I'm writing another album. So
So all that said, what I'm picking up is it's not affecting your creative process or how you're going to market.
No. I mean, when I do an album, like About Memory was conceptual in that all the songs were linked thematically.
Mm-hmm.
Good as Gold wasn't linked to anything.
Yeah.
It was standalone. And this next album that I'm writing, everything's going to be linked thematically again. Yeah, it just gives, what I like about doing singles or even EPs is it's just like more of a snapshot at this very moment. Here's the song. I'm really passionate about this song. It doesn't have to be like what came before. It doesn't have to be what's coming after. It's just this thing.
So you're embracing the genius of the and, opposed to the tyranny of the or, doing all of it, all of the above, and vinyl. I love it. And we need to. You had a birthday a couple days ago, so belated happy birthday to you.
I appreciate that.
So, we try to do our research here. Even a blind squirrel, Todd. So talk about, you touched on it. Talk about your creative process and where your inspiration. Are you morning pages, Julian Cameron kind of thing, where you're writing in the morning, or do you have a special time, or do they just come to you? Talk a little bit about that before we take a little break.
Yeah, that has evolved over the years. When I was, in my 20s or even in my teens or in college, writing happened when inspiration came. Maybe I was reading a book and a passage inspired me, or maybe I saw a film and something inspired me in the film, and I would just go write it down. But now I have kids, and that
enough said. Yeah.
Morning pages.
Yeah.
I'm not a morning person, so it didn't work for me. However, I will say when I have done it, it has opened up those channels. So it will work for me in the future when I don't have to wake up kids and all that.
Yeah.
My process,
And you have a puppy.
So my process is really, I'm not like I have to write at night, I have to write in the day. At this point, I know I've got an hour between picking my kids up from school and whatever. So at this hour, I'm going to go down to my studio, whether it's working on parts for an arrangement, or I know I want to write a song about something. I've got this chord progression, just going to start playing it out. And but like it's very more regimented now. Like I've got this chunk of time to do X. Let's see what I get done.
Does that help you, or are you finding yourself more productive, less productive, or you can't tell the difference?
I don't know if I'm more or less productive, because not every time you write down when you have the opportunity, something great's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're gonna write some bad songs. That's gonna happen. So, what I will say is though that giving myself parameters and specific directions to myself, like I have an hour and I want to write a hook, or I'm writing a song and I only want to use these certain chords, or I'm writing a lyric and I want it to follow a certain rhyme scheme or something. Giving myself these parameters, kind of like giving yourself lines to color in, I find helps my creativity, whereas if I'm just looking at a blank piece of paper, it can be more overwhelming.
Too intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I want to talk about when we're going to take a short break to support our sponsor, which in this case is DRSATL, where we're broadcasting from. Can't thank Wahid Gomes enough. And then got to give a shout out to Otis Tillman, who's working the video here for the first time. So, Otis, thank you so much. But when we come back, Todd, I want to talk about when you first, recognized that you had this talent and, you're writing, when you first started writing and picked up a guitar. So stay with us, y'all. We're on Ride the Vibe. We're going to be right back, just a short break, and then we're going to pick right back up where we left off with Todd Kessler.
DRS provides professional audio mixing and mastering services. They also provide other creative services such as voiceover editing, audio restoration, and audio forensics. They have great customer service, their work is fast and efficient, and their prices are affordable. You can learn more about their creative services by visiting them on the web at DRSATL.com. Again, that's DRSATL.com. Or call them at 404-590-0779. Again, that's 404-590-0779. DRS, when the right sound matters.
You are back on Ride the Vibe. Michael Litton, the last DJ, playing what he wants to play and saying what he wants to say and having a fascinating conversation with Todd Kessler. Todd, are you a native Chicagoan?
I am.
What a hotbed for music. So what inspired you? When did you recognize, what age?
So I always loved music. Favorite band when I was 6 was Guns N' Roses.
Oh,
so
interesting.
Really spoke to me.
Yeah. At 6?
At 6, oh my God, I loved them.
Yeah.
Appetite for Destruction. Oh, yeah.
Loved
it. But as the time went on and, grunge was happening right when I was in junior high school, and it, just like millions of kids my age, it spoke to me. And so when I was 12, I started taking guitar lessons. And shortly after that started writing songs, and I had always been a singer. I don't think it's hard for me to remember when I knew I had, a talent for it.
Yeah.
I will say I knew I had a talent for singing in high school, starting my junior year. And I wrote songs, and I had a band, and I thought we were gonna be huge and famous.
Of course.
Songs and but we weren't we weren't the cool band in school. So hard to say. Like, I thought we were great, but we weren't like the kids weren't knocking down our door. If you know
Who was the cool band? What kind of music was the cool band playing?
There was we were all playing rock. It was rock. So but we weren't playing different types of music. I just think maybe I wasn't one of the cool kids at that.
Gotcha.
Then, I went to college and I started playing open mic nights. And they probably, somewhere within that time, probably, again, sophomore, junior, senior year, I noticed, like, hey, I think my songs are better than the other people's songs. I think my songs are better than the other people's songs. And you should think you're better than other people.
Good, healthy ego? Yeah.
Though, I also knew that, like, I had a long way to go, but that, I was going to pursue this. The day after I graduated college, I was in the studio working on my first record, so I didn't waste any time. I knew what I was going to do. Yeah. Confident in my ability, but I was also aware that there were going to be a lot of hurdles.
Now, you come from a musical family, parents, grandparents, anybody that...
Nothing spectacular. I mean, all my siblings and we all sang in choir. Yeah. We all, played instruments growing up. My dad thinks he can sing, but he can't. And, his mom can, could sing a little bit, and my mom's grandmother, sing a little bit, but no one was a professional musician. I had no example.
Interesting.
I want to do what my uncle does.
Right.
So we liked music, and music was in our house, but no.
And not necessarily, it doesn't sound like influenced by those Chicago, stalwarts of the blues, the Buddy Guys,
It's interesting. I had a moment in high school. I was really into Fleetwood Mac.
yeah.
Sophomore, junior year, I was introduced to Rumors.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've always loved to do with any musician I start to get into is I start to check out their back catalog.
Sure.
Rumors and the White Album, and then I started going back into the Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac with the stuff, which led me to
very bluesy. Yeah.
Rod Stewart and Faces and Jeff Beck group. And so I had this moment where I was like super into that like London blues scene, which was a direct ripoff of the Chicago blues scene.
Right.
I never got far enough to make it to Chicago blues.
Back to Chicago. Interesting. Yeah.
I graduated and just became a total hippie.
Yeah.
Listening to Dead and stuff. Which is also very blues influenced, but
interesting.
no, the Chicago blues was it was more in the periphery for. I was a kid during grunge, and I just wanted rock and roll.
Well, as I'm looking at you, you have a similarity to Lindsey Buckingham.
That is so funny that you say that. So I have a yes, I've heard that before. Thank you.
I would bet. Yeah.
I have a twin brother, and I don't know if you remember last year there was this like face changing app on Facebook where it could make you like look like an old guy.
Yeah.
I refused to do it, but my brother did it, and he sent the picture. It looked exactly like Lindsey Buckingham.
Really? As Lindsey Buckingham does now. Yeah. Interesting. Wow. I love it. Well, we need to hear another song, I think. This you released in 2018, as I understand it. Meet You There. And this was a single. And we'll listen to a little bit of it and then come back and talk about how that came about and where it may end up and the genesis. But so Meet You There.
I hear sirens, I smell fire in the air. Well, remember tonight, I'll meet you there. For too long to remember, I've waited for it all to change. Starting tonight, things will never be the same. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. I hear the wall coming down in the cheer of the crowd. I see the dust touch the sky in a billowing cloud. For too long to remember, I felt you here next to me. Starting tonight, we're finally free. Meet me there someday. Meet me there someday. Meet me there someday. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. I hear whispers of revolution in the air. Well, remember tonight, I'll meet you there.
You are back on Ride the Vibe. Michael Litton, the last DJ, playing what he wants to play, and in this case, playing some brilliant music by Todd Kessler. So, Todd, talk about Meet You There, released in 2018, and the one of the lines, the line that kind of resonated with me, "Revolution in the air," a whisper of revolution in the air. Talk a little bit about that, if you will.
So I started writing this song. This song had quite the journey, to be honest with you. Started writing this song in 2011, I believe. It was inspired by, well, the idea came, it was the night that Osama bin Laden was assassinated. These kind of celebrations in the streets in many places around the world, and this was kind of happening around the same time as what they were calling the Arab Spring, with protests in the Arab world. And so the idea was, the song used to be called "Meet Me on May Day" because that assassination happened on May 1st of 2011. Well, I ended up changing it a little bit because I wanted it to be a little less specific. But my approach to songwriting is often built around lyrics revolving around relationships, because everyone can connect with that idea. So I wanted to create this image, this story of these two people who have lost each other in one of these large gatherings. And around the same time, I had a friend who was a photojournalist who was in Egypt, and he was covering these gatherings. So I was seeing his images. Oh my gosh! So it was two people that were trying to get to each other in the masses, and yeah, they were just trying to find each other, and the revolution in the air. That's kind of where the idea came from. So
I love it.
I hope I'm explaining that well.
Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, I love the backstory. And you are going to, for those that I hope are totally engaged in this conversation, you're going to do something in the spirit of kind of all of us having to reinvent ourselves in the new world. You are doing something on May 3rd. Talk about that. You're going to do a live from your place. Talk about that, Todd.
So pretty much as soon as the lockdown started here in Chicago, I started doing live streaming. I went on Facebook that first week, did a couple concerts, and had great reaction. And I've been doing more and more of that kind of stuff. However, I'm really missing that real interaction with my fans. I want to see them on the screen too.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe I'll try a private concert. So it's going to be on Zoom.
Okay.
And if people are interested to come, it's a $15 cover charge.
Yep.
RSVP to my email, info@toddkesslermusic.com. Okay. And I'll send you the Zoom link the day before. So I'll send it this Saturday. The show's going to be Sunday, May 3rd at 8:30 p.m. Central, 9:30 Eastern. Yeah. And the idea is just to do kind of like a living room concert or a home show, but it's at your house and I'm at my house. Yeah. And so everyone will be able to see each other in their own home. I'll be able to see everyone interact with each other. And so the idea is just kind of take that internet connection that we've got going pretty good with Facebook Lives and all that stuff, and just take it to the next level. Yeah.
I love that creativity. And entrepreneurial spirit. Yeah. Because, and you've shared with me and other musicians have shared, given the way, and we referenced it early in the show, the small, un poquito amount of money you make on record sales, and because people are buying singles and one-offs and all that stuff, it really is the gigging, isn't it, that is where you make the money and the merch and the rest. So it's hard now for musicians to make a and
it was
this
hard,
is
way harder.
Say it again, Todd. Yeah.
Or it's just now way harder.
Yeah, right. And it just and this is you don't have a day job. This is your
music is my full-time gig. Yeah. I do some teaching gigs that are what's kind of saving my butt right now. Yeah. But all of I make a good, portion of my income from gigging, doing live events and private events, and just they're all gone
away. I know. It just we'd stopped doing Ride the Vibe for a period of time too, for all the obvious reasons, and then good friend Lucy Pillar, who knows almost every musician on the planet, she said, Michael, musicians need Ride the Vibe more now than ever, right? Because they're not gigging, and then people have time on their hands to listen to podcasts. So definitely want to encourage y'all to pony up the money. $15, you spend that on a couple Starbucks or whatever. So live from your place, May 3rd at 8:30, and we're gonna roll the next half hour commercial free, thanks to one of our other sponsors, an organization near and dear to my heart because I started it. So, and I'm the last DJ, so I get to talk about it. Foundation for Premature Infants, and our mission is to raise money, and then we give it to clinicians for continuing education. So God bless all those. I talked to one of my board member, Lisa Bader, out in Omaha, and she said, and she's an occupational therapist in the NICU of 25 years. She said they're busier than ever now. So this virus has not slowed down premature births at all. So God bless those caregivers. I want to segue into a song off About Memory. And I have to give a shout out to your brother-in-law, Mike Pachenik, the intrepid investigative reporter, Channel 2 News, for introducing us. And Mike's a buddy here in the Atlanta area, Channel 2 in Atlanta. He does some great investigative work. And he, I don't like to, I say to the guests, there are no gotcha questions. But Mike did share something with me. So prepare yourself, and hopefully it won't be too embarrassing. But Mike's a couple, 3 years older, I guess, than you, and you dated his younger sister since high school.
Yeah.
So you referenced kind of early in the show that you haven't had any relationship because you've been with the one you loved since high school. And Mike shared with me that at one point in time, you were sporting some dreadlocks.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the dreadlocks, and then one of the criteria I think that the that the Pachenik family laid down in order for you to marry their daughter, and then the writing of a song about that experience.
So,
and hopefully this isn't too embarrassing.
oh no, not at all. I was like prepared for something like really bad.
Oh, no, Mike wouldn't do that.
So I just loved the look of dreadlocks since I was a kid. When I first saw Lenny Kravitz's music video for "Are You Gonna Go My Way" in 1994,
Yeah.
and I thought, first of all, I was a big fan of his music, and then I saw this video, and he's like, the dreads are going all over the place, and I thought it was so cool, and I thought, man, one day I want to have dreadlocks. And so when I was in, let's see, as soon as I graduated high school, I was like, that's it, not cutting my hair.
Yeah.
I'm going for it.
Yeah.
Went to college, pledged a fraternity. They made me cut my hair.
I said, darn fraternity guys.
November to the year 2000, I was like, all right, after this, I'm done. I'm not cutting my hair. I'm really doing it. And so I just let it go. It helped that I was in college and I was a dirty hippie.
Sure.
And so I just let it go, and it kind of went, and then it went, and then it was like down to my shoulders.
Yeah.
And I got really curly hair, and then it just went like this. Started making its way up as the curls started tightening, and then it was all natural. I had them for 20 years, and I will say, I don't remember an ultimatum from.
Okay, all right.
I think by the time, we had already, my wife Lauren and I had already been together 9 years when we got married. I was already a full-time musician. My in-laws were like, "This is just who he is.
Okay.
It's okay."
All right. Because Mike had kind of suggested that maybe they suggested you need to cut it before you could marry her.
They did. No one ever relayed that back to me.
Got to you. Gotcha.
My mom was begging me to cut him forever, and
for the photos. Yeah.
Once I did cut them, so
Right.
I will say I did cut them off in a music video, though.
I heard that's what he said. You made a video, and where can people find that? If there is that anywhere, or have you?
Yeah, go to my YouTube page, youtube.com/Todd Kessler, and you can find it. The song's called Hallelujah.
Oh, good.
It was released on the album I did with my band, The New Folk.
Yeah.
So you'll see how long they were.
I love it.
And then how short it was.
Now, Mike is a drummer.
Yeah.
And he plays in a band here in Roswell, Sawgrass Blues Band. Have you and Mike ever done a performance together?
We've never performed together, but we've jammed a couple times. Okay. But at the same time, we've lived apart for we've lived in separate places as long as I've been dating his sister. So we've never lived in the same place. So we have jammed a couple times, but never had the chance to perform together.
Well, when things open back up, when you come down to visit here in Roswell, ATL, we got to facilitate that, I think.
Sure.
Would love to have that. Well, so I think that, talking about the family history, it tees up, as I was listening to the lyrics, old-fashioned way. And it sounded like maybe, talking about the way you met your wife in high school, the old-fashioned way. I may have this completely wrong, and you'll correct me, but I am the last DJ. But let's cue up a little old-fashioned way, if we could, Wahid.
Jagged metronome of typewriter keys. A simple thought brings you to me, and I'm thankful every day. I'm so glad I found you the old-fashioned way. In a time when we want it all, everything's so fast. Write a text, no time to call. To slow down, oh, I pray. I'm so glad I found you the old-fashioned way. I'll write to you with ink from a pen. Feel the weight as the words sink in. My mind moves too fast for my hand. I need to tell you this while I still can. It was so dark.
The old-fashioned way. I love it. That's kind of the way the last DJ likes to think about it. Shout out to Tom Petty, playing it the old-fashioned way, being able to play music before the corporate suits got involved. So talk about that song. Did I have it? Was I even close, Todd?
No, you were super close. But what gave me the idea to write that song in the first place was I had a couple friends. This was probably 2015. I had been hearing from a couple friends, kind of separate but around the same time, about horror stories of online dating, and it just got me thinking how glad I was I didn't have to do that, and how lucky I am to have met my person the old-fashioned way. And so it's kind of me a little bit recalling the beginning of our relationship, before iPhones and before we were text messaging. We used to write letters to each other. Maybe not on a typewriter, but with a pen and paper.
Crazy, yeah.
That long ago, which it's just crazy how much has changed in 20 years.
It's amazing, and I'm not sure for the better in some some ways. So you touched on it earlier. You were in a band in Chicago, the new Todd Kessler and the New Folk. Talk about that band and the mates in that. And you had a steady gig at a tavern there, and you had to give up that gig for a little bit and talk about why and that experience.
So, like I mentioned before, the day after I graduated college, this was 2005, I was in the studio working on my first record and was a solo artist for quite a while, but I had started using the same musicians in the studio. And by 2008, it was becoming very clear to me that we were basically a band. And I wanted, I made the very clear decision. I want to do the band thing. I've done the solo artist thing. I want to do the band thing. And so I took my band and we gave ourselves a name and we started writing music more collectively. And we were doing really well. We were selling out 200 seaters in Chicago pretty regularly. And it was just, we had a really fun live show. We had 2 string players, we had 2 horn players, we had a few singers, and it was just like a really fun time. And a lot of these people I'm still playing with on a regular basis, just not as the new folk. But you had mentioned, we had a residency lined up in 2012 at a super famous club in Chicago called Shuba's Tavern. And this was a residency that was built around the release of our album called Sea Fever.
Sea Fever. Yeah, love that. A great album, too. Strongly encourage people to go out and get that.
Cheers. Thanks so much. And what ended up happening was this was going to be in August 2012. And in March 2012, I tried out for NBC's The Voice. And, when you try out, you don't find out if you make it right away kind of thing. There's the first tryout, then there's a second tryout, then you got to fly to LA, and then it's all this other stuff. There's a lot that happens before you get on television.
Right.
And so, I did this. I tried out, and I was like, hey, I knew I had this residency coming up, and if I have to I was like, I'm not canceling this now, but I can't tell them yet. Yeah. It was kind of like, let's just see what happens. And so I kept getting farther and farther in the process. I eventually made the show. Yeah. I made a team on the show, and so I had to call the club and be like, I'm not going to make it for the first two because I wasn't. It was all like happening at the same time, so I didn't know I was going to be back home. So, and I've been promoting this residency really, really hard. I had some great press about it, and so what I ended up doing, I had to get 2 new headliners for the first 2 shows.
Oh man!
And I made it for the second 2, but it worked out fine in the end, and the venue was very understanding, and so.
Well, talk about your experience. You were on Team CeeLo, as I understand it. Talk about that experience and how that changed you.
It was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
Not everyone has an amazing experience, unfortunately, with these types of shows. But I really went into it with an open mind. I went into it knowing who I was as an artist, and I wasn't trying to necessarily be discovered. I was just going for it because why not?
Yeah.
I think I went into it with the right attitude. But it was an amazing experience. I learned a lot. I learned a lot that I didn't realize I was going to learn. I went in thinking, hey, I'm an artist. I've been doing this a long time. Like, I know what I'm doing. Like, get me in front of that camera. Let's do it. Let's have fun. Yeah. And again, I wasn't putting too much pressure on myself to like get really far or even, like make it to the finals or whatever. But what I ended up learning a lot about connecting to a lyric that's not your own. Because you don't sing your own music on the show. We weren't doing that. I don't know if they're doing that now, but so what I learned very specifically from CeeLo Green and also a mentor that he brought in for us, Rob Thomas, who I'd been a fan of from high school. They taught me how to connect with a lyric that wasn't mine and to deliver a song and connect with your audience. As a singer-songwriter, it's so easy for us to just stand at that microphone and close our eyes and lose ourselves in it. But you can't do that on camera for people.
Right.
Connect.
People,
during the blind audition, they tell you, don't worry about the cameras. Connect with the people that are in the room there. So that's what I did, and it was a huge learning curve. I learned a lot about the business that I didn't know. And it definitely changed the trajectory of my career. I did not. I didn't win. I didn't get close to winning even.
But you won. You won. It was a victory, getting to the level you got to.
Exactly. And I did. Even getting to the blind auditions and not making a team is a huge accomplishment.
Sure. Yeah.
I was able to make it one step further than that. So it's a notch in my belt. It's a conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, and is that a piece of advice you would give to up and coming, aspiring musicians, that you've got to put it out there, right? You got to do the open mic. You have to take a chance.
100%. I've had a couple friends after I was on the show get in touch with me, who they were already like doing it, and they were like, "Hey, I'm thinking about trying out for The Voice. Should I do it? I don't know." I would be like, "You have nothing to lose.
Absolutely.
You're any fans, you're going to gain fans, and a couple
Sure.
that I've encouraged to do the show have like made the finals and done really well.
Yeah.
And so that feels great. But like people starting out, yes, go ahead, go try out for the American Idol, go try out for The Voice. There was when American Idol and The Voice were really really big and a little newer on the. Dave Grohl put out a statement in an interview. Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters. And
Foo Fighters, sure.
Not gonna. Yeah, maybe 1 out of every 10 million people are gonna make it from being on a reality show. But you got to get in that garage and you got to play those tunes with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get to that open mic night. Like, you got to put in the work. Malcolm Gladwell got to put in 10,000 hours to become an expert or something. You got to put in the 10,000 hours, and that's it. That's Mike. That's playing the coffee shops. That's busking. Whatever it is that you're going to do, you gotta put in the hours. Yeah,
it's just not going to happen instantly. Wow. Well, I think we need to hear. Speaking of One More Note, let's hear One More Note off of About Memory, Todd Kessler's album.
One more note, one more breath, one more go is all I get this time around. One more night to sing a song, see the light, dance along an empty floor I've come to know quite well. I've been lost underneath its spell. Just for now, bid to you farewell. Dig my heels in, do my best, try to forget all the rest. Remember my good intentions. Caught up in the whirlwind of, forgot about my faith in love to make the whole thing disappear. I've been lost, the fog's begun to clear. Just for now, I'll patiently wait here. If every note.
You are back on Ride the Vibe. Michael Litton, the last DJ. Here with having a fascinating conversation with Todd Kessler. Todd, talk about that song, and then also want you to touch on, if you would, your experience at the Genesee Theater up in Waukegan and opening for Pat Benatar and 10,000 Maniacs.
Yeah. So this song kind of had a two-part inspiration. One is every time I'm writing like a new album specifically or going into the studio to do an album, not so much with singles, but with albums, I get this kind of dreaded feeling that this is the last one. I'm not going to have another chance. Maybe I won't have the money. Maybe I'm going to, God forbid, something's going to happen to me. I won't be able to play music anymore. I don't know. But like I have this this fear that like this is my last chance. I've got to get it right. And I'm sure a lot of artists feel that way as well. Mm-hmm. So it was, I was writing for the record, and it again, I was in this place where it feels like this is my last chance. I better make it count.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was wrestling with the idea of writing from the heart versus trying to write songs that are going to get a ton of streams on Spotify or a ton of hits on YouTube. Mm-hmm. I went into the making of About Memory knowing that sonically I wanted the songs to sound commercial enough that they could be used in commercials or film, television. Sure. But I knew they had to still be from my heart. They still had to be authentic.
Yeah.
And it's so easy in this business to get caught up in the things that are not authentic.
Right.
So this song was my kind of internal struggle with that.
Yeah.
But I, like you said, I did get to play this song in a beautiful theater up near me called the Genesee Theater. I was opening up for Pat Benatar.
Yeah.
Amazing 2,500 seater. It was such a cool experience getting to play there, and also getting to. I didn't get to meet her. I met her husband Spider, super nice guy, and she, she has not lost a note. She can sing.
Yeah.
It was the 80s still. It is unbelievable. She is a force to be reckoned with.
Nice person, Todd.
I didn't get to meet her.
Ah,
We did not.
okay. Yeah.
Spider.
Yeah.
He was a nice, and then I've opened up for 10,000 Maniacs. That was a different venue, but
Yeah.
that was a city winery here in Chicago.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I grew up with the 10,000 Maniacs.
Yeah,
They were,
sure. With Natalie as the vocalist? Yeah.
Of course, she's not with the band anymore.
No,
but
right.
a band that hasn't lost its step. They are incredible still as
Yeah.
well.
Unbelievable. Very cool. Well, you referenced it a little bit earlier as you were talking about old-fashioned way, and how you met your wife in high school and you wrote actual pen and paper letters. So I think it's only fitting that we hear a part of every once in a while the last DJ stumbles on something. Let's hear a little bit of the letter.
I heard you coming up the stairs to the attic as I waited with bated breath. The memory so clear to me still, though I traveled so far to forget. Went to lose myself in the city, cut my hair thinking I could erase. Every woman I saw was Delilah, every corner I would see your face. I wrote you a letter, but I never sent it out. I couldn't face it if you turned me down, so I keep it in my pocket right next to my heart. Now I am back to where I started. I went looking for the living
The last DJ on Ride the Vibe. That's the letter off of Todd Kessler's About Memory. Todd, talk about that song, and also you recorded the album in New Monkey Studios in L.A. That's a studio made famous by Elliott Smith, and it was produced by Mark Daniel Nelson, who worked with Fleetwood Mac. So there's that tie-in again to Fleetwood Mac. So talk about that song and then and that experience out in L.A.
The letter is one of the songs on the record that was not necessarily autobiographical. It was about, I think I had been reading a book or in some, I can't even remember what book it was at this point, but something had jumped out at me from something I was reading, and just this idea was sparked, this idea of this guy who kind of blew his chance with the girl, and he went to go find himself across the world and then came back and it was too late. It's kind of the age-old story, though it's not my story.
Yeah.
But even when I'm writing something that's not directly related to my life, I'm always going to put a little bit of myself in there. So that reference, I'm going to go cut my hair, and I occasionally like to put in some biblical references. So there was the Samson and Delilah.
Delilah, yeah.
But the funny thing about that song, it ended up being the second single for the album, and it almost never made the record. I was sending my producer, Mark, like you mentioned, I was sending him songs, and when we were starting the process of thinking about what we're going to do. Yeah. And I almost didn't send this one. I had written this one a few years earlier. It just never really felt like it fit for some reason. I just can never kind of... it was a tough nut to crack for me for whatever reason. And I sent it to him kind of as a lark, like, oh yeah, here's another one too I just found. Probably not going to work, but I'm just sending you everything. Yeah. And he was like, oh dude, this is
great song. Yeah. Well, and it ties into Old Fashioned Way.
No, for sure. Once he told me what he liked about it, I was like, okay, I'm going to trust you. We're going to go with it.
Sure.
One of my favorites from the record.
Yeah. I'd agree.
That experience out in LA was just so incredible. I never had the luxury of going somewhere else to record an album. I'd always done it in Chicago, and I really wanted to get rid of all the distractions that were going to. Mark and I had known each other since 2010. He's from Valparaiso, Indiana, which is not too far from Chicago.
Chicago, yeah.
He ran a studio there called The Alley. And back in 2010, my band was contacted by what's called Lakeshore Public Television, which is kind of like the Northwest Indiana, Chicago public TV station.
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing a show. They were getting bands, and they were coming to this recording studio, and you're going to play live in the studio and do a little interview.
Yeah.
And Mark was in the studio and was the producer. And so from there, we kind of kept in touch a little bit, maybe once a year. Hey, buddy, how are you? Love to work together again, something like that.
Yeah.
And he got back in touch around 2015, I think it was around April, my birthday, around. Got back in touch. He was like, "Hey man, just saying hi. Would love to do something again. Love your stuff." And I said, "Mark, it's so funny you're calling me right now. I've decided I want to do a solo album, and I'm not really sure where to start." And so we just started talking on the phone, getting reacquainted.
Yeah.
And we realized, we love all the same music, and we started talking about Fleetwood Mac came up. He's like, "Well, I work with them now," and I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I've been in LA for a while."
They give you goose pimples? You have to pinch yourself? Yeah.
Yeah, so I work with Ken Calais, and Ken Calais is a longtime Fleetwood Mac producer.
Yeah.
He's like kind of his right-hand man. Mark has even done, even did the remaster for Mirage when they did 2017 or something.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I found that out, it just felt like
Yeah, that was it.
like this, I'm going for it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna figure out how to do it. I did a Kickstarter for it, and Mark was able to put together a band in LA with another producer that he liked working with, and the drummer that we ended up using is actually someone who I was already friends with in Chicago.
Oh,
but Mark
wow. Yeah.
in Chicago. So it was a very fateful.
Yeah. Serendipitous all the way around. Well, it is unbelievable. This hour has just flown by. Fascinating conversation. But we would be remiss, I think, if we didn't get one more song in. Someday You'll Be a Man. I think it's only fitting to kind of wrap up the show, and then we'll play just a teaser of that, and then come back. I want to have you wrap up with the parting thoughts and next projects right before we have to head out of here.
Great.
You are young, stay that way, because someday you'll be a man. You are young, stay that way, because someday you'll be a man. So sleep while you can, drink while you can, smoke while you can, because someday you'll be a man. You ain't got no bills to pay, you're gonna wish you stayed that way.
Love that song too. Got a lot of meaning there, I think, deep meaning. So we're just about out of time, Todd. It's just been fascinating. Want to strongly encourage folks to do pony up some money live from your place, May 3rd at 8:30. That's Central Standard Time, 9:30 Eastern Time. You need to send an invitation or RSVP to Todd. Go ahead, Todd.
Info at toddkesslermusic.com, or if you want to go follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/Todd Kessler. You can also, there'll be links in there. You can find out more information too.
Good. And what it sounds like you've got another album in the works. Just tease that up a little bit if you would.
I'm writing a new solo album, but I'm also doing. I've got a couple singles that are in production right now.
Yeah.
That I co-wrote with a friend of mine. So hopefully, the first of those will be out. I don't know, with the whole quarantine thing, things are a little bit up in the air, but hopefully sooner than later. And I've got another project I'm doing with a friend, more kind of commercial stuff. I'm keeping busy.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. Mike Pachenik, thank you for the introduction. And I'm going to facilitate an introduction to Rand Cabas at Mojo Vinyl. See if you can move some vinyl. And then when you come down here, I want to see you play with Mike.
Love it. Yeah.
All right, we're out of here. Ride the vibe. Michael Litton, the last DJ.
But it's not too late to set the record straight. Better get her done, son, 'cause the hour is grown late. Maybe but hasn't gotten round to yet. Well, maybe he'll feel a little empathy and play this on his FM show. Better late than never. Here's my thanks to whoever plays my song on